We are live. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming. We're here again today, live. Start going live daily, right? Part of the practice of consistency is being here. And that's not the only piece. You want to be consistent, but you want to also be improving 1% every day, right? That's kind of the goal here. So we'll be doing a lot more film review, a lot more analysis, a lot more behind the, you know, kind of mental models of what it takes to be a successful athlete, which is not different than what it takes to become a successful person. So we will be reviewing. Sorry, let's see. Okay, so we're going to start by just reviewing some of the community posts, and then we will go in depth carrying on this theme of how to improve our block starts. But first, let's go ahead and look at. So this is David. He's in the Speed Lab community. He posted this for film review. I was able to PR in the 60 with a time of 6:42. I'm almost positive that's supposed to be 7:42, but I look like a goofy cartoon character. Oh, by the way, I'm the guy in the yellow shirt who got second place. The guy who got first is the 18th fastest of my country, so I got destroyed. Okay, let's see here, David. What can we got some support from Michael. Oh, um, support from Michael. Great job. Stay locked in. This dude in front is definitely like a grown man. Excellent. Thanks, Michael, for supporting David on his journey. And I already reviewed this in a much quicker way. I provided him a written analysis because it took me a while to get to this live, but here we are. So thanks for sharing. Yes, the guy was much larger. One, I would say you feel like a goofy cartoon character because you're pressing a bit too hard. Remember the efficiency is a major remember that efficiency is a major part of the speed equation. Stride length times stride frequency times efficiency. Look how much more smoothly the guy who won looks in comparison. There are some block start things I see as well, which I'll go over in film review. So let's take a look at David and see where we can improve. First of all, let's figure out, I know he said he's in yellow. I think this is him in lane 5. Okay. Not a bad block position, David. Probably, honestly, the best block position here. Low hips and crunched low hips. Crunched. Not a horrible one. This is nice. And then over here, you have a bit of a crunched. Let's see. Nice reaction, right? As a result of your position in the blocks, David, you actually look as though you got not only one of the better reactions, but full extension off of this pedal. If you look at maybe lane 1, whose foot might be on the ground already, but you know, that foot is bent there. Oh, we got a stumble though. David, I wish I downloaded this so that I could put it inside, and that's good to know for next time. Boom. So you see that sweeping motion that you had come off of the blocks? So you got a good push, but then that back or that front foot needs some work. One of the things about your blocks, David, is that you are sitting back in your blocks. So can't sit back like that. Like this guy next to you, I think this might be the guy who won. He's much more forward in his blocks, nice bent elbows, although he can even improve his block a bit there. You see what I mean is like, look at your hips are sitting back on your foot. his hips are sitting back, sitting back, sitting back, sitting back, sitting back. Everyone's sitting back in the blocks. I would have loved to maybe see this group behind you and see what their blocks look like in comparison. So the gun goes up. Come on, get to it. Gun goes off. Boom. That foot cycled right off of the blocks. Looking at your left leg, nice extension, and then you cycle through. And what does that do for you, David? It makes you hit the ground in front of yourself when you're supposed to be hitting directly under, or for even a dry phase, okay to hit behind your hips, right? Boom. And so just compare your first step that cycled over, landed in front, completely flat foot, right? Everything about this motion looks like you want to go down. First, this guy next to you, who has put his foot a little bit better position underneath his hips. It looks like he wants to go forward. And so that's why you collapsed on that. Let's watch it real time, actually, and then we'll come back and analyze the rest of your start. So watch the collapse by David here. Boom, collapse. Okay, so that's why that happened. Take a second for chat. Woo, hey, what's up, Pujan? Brian Mills, go vegan if you care about God's creation, creatures and creation. Go vegan. All right. RB Animation, what are you doing, bro? I'm just analyzing some film from some athletes, trying to make them faster, trying to make the world faster, one person at a time, because speed is awesome. Okay. So boom, we collapsed on that foot. A little bit better here, David. Staying driven, nice extension. That foot begins to come through. Let's watch the guy next to you here who won and by comparison. Boom. He's covering more distance per stride. Look at the difference of distance per stride here. You take really small step. Look at that short step. Short step. By comparison, look at the guy next to you. Right? Boom. That one was a little short, but that one was more open. And then he really gets he's kind of short too. That one was open. So it takes him about 4 steps actually before he gets one of those where it's nice and open, but he's not passive and waiting for the ground. We're looking at this guy here. Nice open strides. Look at how much ground he's covering, right? And David, while you're still driving, your drive phase was actually a bit better than his, but because it's a 60, drive phase is a little shorter than. But you're getting nice distance. You're just over stressing a bit instead of staying relaxed. Push. Actually, it's not bad. But that one, you're just overstriding a bit maybe because, again, look at where that foot is hitting in comparison in relation to your hips. So you're hitting in front of you again, which is forcing you to have to try really hard. Right? Look at this guy next to you. By comparison, a little bit in front, but basically under the hips. And look at how much further in front of your body's center of mass, being your hips, you are. Okay, so that's a big change that you need to make. And that's why my original note to you, David, was that you look like you're straining a bit too hard. You're pressing. Right now, you should be in rhythm. You should be in flow. Look at the guy in first place. He's obviously not jogging, but it looks like maybe he's not trying quite as hard as you, but he's winning. That's because you're staying really tight and you're letting your foot on impact, right? This is you, David, here. Look at you get here, and instead of stepping down and through under your hip, grabbing the track and pulling behind you, you just let it hang, and you wait for the ground. And so that requires you to pull through super hard on this step, right? Look at this foot just hanging around waiting. And look at him. He's stepping down over that foot. Step through, down. And you're stepping through and hanging and letting that foot hit in front of you. Okay, so that's a major change. If you took away anything that I said, it's that you need to be more active on the ground. All right, David? So I hope that helped. I'm going to tell David after I get off to check the live. So we have Brian here. Brian recently strained his hamstring, but this was before that, which I haven't got to this. Brian, I apologize. Segments of 6 times 60, 2 sets at 80% walk back recovery, 12 minutes rest between sets. 25 degrees at waking up this morning. Sheesh. But, oh, maybe we did. Okay, maybe we didn't. You know what? I think we did review this. Let me see if I can actually download this. I need to download it so that I can Hello. My dog wanted to come say hi. How was it? Very good. So he's going to be joining us on this live stream. Brian looks like Frozone. There you are, Brian. Okay. So here's Brian. Okay. So Brian and I had a call today, and we went over this a little bit on a different set of film of his, but this is going to be a perfect angle, actually. So when Brian steps through, look at his foot swing through and cut off his calf. You see that little swing through cuts the calf off? And then this one will be more obvious. So you see that foot swinging through there, Brian, here, and cutting the calf off. So that's Brian's tendency. He does it in drills. He does it, that's his default, swinging through that calf. So what Brian and I discussed today, as he continues to recover, is that when he steps through, when he steps over, who's heard of like the figure 4 or the Z? Let's see here. Okay, so Brian is trying to change stepping through the calf to step over the knee. right? So this is the Invisible Technique, the Sprint Project, another great channel. So that's what he's working on, having that recovery up here. Look at this sprinter. Oh, this is a Johan Blake. Step through where that knee comes, and you step that foot comes. You step through the knee. You don't cut the calf off. So that's one of Brian's challenges that he will crush because he does everything well. Boom. Okay. So that actually will stop Brian. He's also similarly landing in front of his body, making that change for the figure four and not cutting the calf off as he, again, has a tendency to do. Look at that. That's foot is swinging through the calf instead of high stepping over the knee. That will help him also cycle. Look at this foot come down. Okay. That will help him actually step down on top of himself like we do in the wickets, Brian, rather than hitting slightly in front, which can place strain on your hamstring. Okay. So we're going through this kind of enlightenment, this phase about block starts. And so there's a lot to cover. We went over with some of the University of Georgia kids as they were coached by Coach Carroll Smith. And the major key for block work is that it's very technical. So even with the checklist that I'm going to share with you, it will start to take many reps before you perfect your block start. You'll never actually end perfecting your block start. But what's important is that the block work you do is as perfect as possible. And you end when the work, you end block work when you start to show fatigue. So, what are the block mistakes that you can identify right now? Is this is going to be yes or no? Are you able to hold your set position for a long time, or do you feel unsteady? Do you feel like your weight is distributed in a way that creates power? Can you feel stretched and packed muscles when you're in the blocks? You should feel tension so that when the gun goes off like a rubber band, you're ready to go off. You don't have to work on engaging anything before you then explode. Is your back foot planted firmly against the back block and the front block? Do you make a triangle with your hips? Are you sitting back in your blocks? And are your arms swinging in order to aid you, or are they swinging in a way that is going to prohibit you? So those are all yes or no questions that you can go to your blocks right now and understand and see whether you're doing them. And it's a whole lot. It's way too much to think about all those checkpoints when you're getting into the blocks, right? So that's why we've created this block start checkpoint list that ultimately is just your routine. You want to practice your block starts and have a routine so that you hit every checkpoint that we just went over, right? Your feet are aligned. You do your plyometric jumps before you load the back pedal, before you load the front pedal. All this is going to be part of a routine. And here we are. Oh, why is it showing double? There we go. Or this working? This is not working. Hold on. Let me try that again. Let me see. There we go. So, what the? Um, ah, very good. Okay, so this is one of my athletes. We're gonna work through her block starts and see where we go. Because okay, so this is Shane. We have a great um, live coaching session coming out that I'm working on editing. Come out today or tomorrow, where we work through all of her block progressions. We work through the checklist. We work through the routine so that the block start is the same and it is perfect every time. So these blocks were done before we consciously worked through our routine. So we're going to go over the differences between what these look like and what her ones from yesterday look like. So here we have Shane. Now, some of the checkpoints that Shane struggles with, right, are that she ends up punching the ground rather than striking. I'll show you exactly what that means. And her arms don't help her. They actually really hurt her. Um, so just real quick, what we're looking for is that foot connected to that pedal? Is that foot connected to that pedal? Do you have a triangle with your hips? Are your shoulders over your hands? Are your elbows a bit bent? And so these look decent in terms of she has all of that. Um, the one thing is look at her first movement is to scrunch down and then go up before she's able to go forward. Okay. The arms are decent. Actually, not horrible at all. And the foot placement is nice. Look at this. This is the difference between what we saw with David and what we're seeing with Shane. She's hitting so much closer to her center of mass and driving her foot back underneath her. So that was a short stride, right? You can see the lack of maybe explosion off of this path. And I think a lot of that actually has to do with the way this arm is swinging through and the way this arm is swinging back. It's a little bit too clean, right? It's picturesque. If we can compare. Right, compare the difference in the arms here from one of my reps where I was explaining something to Shane, and then look at how clean those arms look. There's a big difference. Okay. So I think let's look at a different one from the same day, and then we'll move on to what we did yesterday in order to make some of these changes. Oh yeah, this session honestly was a little bit of a discovery session because Shane didn't know which arm she was actually best at. I don't even remember yesterday what she chose to do, but we're about to look in a second. So this is a perfect example. I think actually I ended up changing her, so we're about to go back and look. But look at how this foot is not connected to that pedal. Okay, that foot is not planted, and so what are you going to see before she's even able to go? Look at that. Look at what she has to do. She has to engage her calf. She has to place the tension with her calf before she's even able to push. This isn't fair to Shane because I think that was a. Oh no, I guess that's what she does. Okay, here's what we'll do. Let's see some of Shane's from yesterday. Taking a second to open up. I really like this little tool. I have to figure out how to make the let's figure out how to make the quality a bit better. Okay. So this is Shane's from yesterday. Like I said, we have this whole thing is recorded, so I'll show you. So let's look at the differences already. Okay, so first things first, she's developed her routine. Now I was letting them develop their own routine. Ideally, I would like to see the knees lift up, right? We want to work on our knees going that direction on the way up, but that's okay because we want to activate our psoas and our hip flexors and big muscles that we're going to be using, but we'll let Shane do what she does for now. Oops. Okay, so this is also a part of her routine that we're developing.
Wait, what do you mean, like they move your lane or?
Okay, back foot loads first. Make sure that look at that, how she's adjusting her back foot. This is a huge point, so pay attention. That foot needs to be firmly planted against that back block. Okay. And then once that is against that, look at also the stretch here that she has, right? That's all good. And then this foot gets planted on that block. Even before she even sets her hands or anything, that's what needs to happen. And then after that, what happens? Knees go down. So again, I was taught same way Coach Carroll and everybody that we put both knees down. Okay. Then what does she do? Squares her hips. You see she's laughing a little bit because it's a little bit takes some getting used to. And then what I want to see, I'm going to hold her foot, make sure that look, she doesn't want to do it. Right? If it was her choice, she'd stop there. But what do? I make sure that foot is all the way planted on that pedal. All right, so now I leave it up to her to do. Put that foot all the way against the pedal. You see she secures it there. Then knees go down. Then you square up the hips. Now, one of the changes we also made, this was the first rep from this day, is this piece. Shoulders over the line. Shoulders over the line, shoulders not over the line. What are thou to do? I used to teach shoulders over the line. until I saw some of Coach Carroll's advice that that's not what you want to do. So I was able to say, this coach who's much better than I am has this thought process. So why don't I teach similarly, right? And one of Shane's big problems in the blocks was that she couldn't hold her hands there, which is funny enough, a lot of what people say. And even when she so she gets in, she's over. I'm not sure. Let's see. Forward, so don't. Yep, shoulders over hands, maybe. There we go. Let's see what I say here. How intelligent is my live coaching advice? Let's listen. You don't have to lean so far forward, so don't. Yep, shoulders over hands, maybe not shoulders over line. Yeah, there you go. There we go. I said shoulders over hands, not shoulders over line. And watch how much more comfortable she will be in the set position. Right? She's able to now. Look at that. This is a great set position. Look at that angle, right? So when she comes out of the blocks here, she's able to maintain that position, right? Because look at how she's starting, right? Compared to if you started flat, if those hips were a little lower, this peak would be a little lower as well, right? You see the change there. It's like a skateboard ramper, right? We used to play this game where you draw lines like this, and then you start your skateboarder like at the top here. I don't know if they still have this game. And then you ride down and you see, can you make this jump, right? How high do you get off of this jump? And so the steeper the drop in, the higher the activation energy, the higher the potential energy. So what I'm saying is this is a great position as opposed to if her hips were lower. They're a nice triangle there. Again, one of the most important factors is how connected is this foot. Like you can look at this still frame and understand that for Shane, this position is more comfortable. It's more powerful. It's going to be so much easier for her to get out of these blocks effectively. But we are going to go over one more problem that we encountered. So this is a great position. Maybe a little bit too extended here because our first movement is still the collapsing, right? So if I had to give her some advice watching this, it would be rather than being here, or we have to learn actually, rather than changing this, we have to do more reps where she's focused on pushing off this back block there. Because what does she do? She bends the knee, rocks back. So that has to be completely avoided and then comes off the ground. Now, one of the things we discussed is look at her arms at this moment in time, right? The leg shoots forward before the arm. Okay, so this is what I talked to Shane about in this specific video. I know I look funny, hella old and shit, but so, right, boom, the leg and the arm are attached compared to what we saw Shane do, which is right. Look at her push off. And look, we're essentially in the same position here. But look at her arms and then look at mine. So that's one of the big changes that she needed to work on yesterday. So let's see if we got there. If it's not on one of these that I've uploaded, then it's on the coaching video that I'm still editing. I need to get off of here and go edit that actually. Okay. So this is one of the later reps. Let's see how she's changed. So again, we're going through our checklist. So what should she be doing? So I missed the jumps, but she did her jumps. Then we place the back foot first. Make sure that it's fully against that pedal. Place the front foot next. Make sure that it's fully against that pedal. And then knees go down. Square your hips to go straight forward down the track. And then arms down. A nice slight bend, arms over hand. A nice slight bend in the elbows. Boom. It's a decent position. See, so we still are a little too far over the line because first thing she does is scoot back. So I think that movement will get eliminated if she just sits back a little bit from the start. But these are better arms. Look at the arms come through. Actually, they're not that much better. They're a little bit off rhythm. And for me, this just means she needs to do more reps. I think she's just a fraction of a second early with her arms. But again, that's okay. It just is about the reps. But she's stepping down nicely and not waiting for the track. So I think that was a good session for Shane. And there's a lot that can be learned that we just talked here together for 40 minutes on how to do blocks. And if you try to think about everything we discussed, then you won't do well because you're going to suffer from focusing on too much at once. One of the pieces of advice I gave Shane and Satchel, her brother, yesterday was to visualize the perfect rep first. Understand that it takes many reps, and one of the way that you make them perfect is by just picturing them in so much detail that you don't know the difference between what you're thinking and what is real and what you've actually done. You want to make it in so much detail and be able to feel it as though it's true, and understand that each block day, that each block video that you watch, that each block tip that you hear, speed tip in general, is just one brick to a large bridge. And I heard this from Alex Hormozy, like a business entrepreneur who says this often, which is that we're trying to build a bridge, and you just, by watching this, you just gained a brick. So you can't lay the brick down and then think that the bridge is going to hold the weight, even though it's not finished. It's just one brick to the bridge, which is our ultimate destination of increasing our speed. So I love that, conceptualizing the learning aspect in that way. And at the same time, you have to go do the things. You can't just learn about it. And so now your challenge today is to not watch more informational videos, but to go practice and go do something. And if you don't know where to start, there's a Sprint Fundamentals program that I put onto the link in the description. So you can click that. You can find out what Sprint Fundamentals are, which should be incorporated into your warm up every day. And you can also submit your film and get it reviewed, as we did here today. So again, just starting this live session and showing up as a coach daily because I have to be the embodiment of what I want my athletes to do, which is show up daily, prepared, ready to work. And so that's a large portion of what we're doing here. So I'd love to review some more film that is completely free. Joining the group is free. There are, of course, paid options if you want like one-on-one time and everything, but it's just free. So go check it out. And thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.